So, the television sign is actually a very complex sign. It is described as a visual sign, but at the same time also as an iconic sign with supplementary oral verbal support. So, if we talk about it, we should make a reference to Peirce or Eco's conception, whose theoretical models and explanations are flawless in this. But here, specifically, I just want to be focused on the sign but in the television context. So, theoretically, its naturalism doesn't lie at the encoding side. It lies to how the viewers decode the sign. So, as iconic, because of it is natural or transparent, it could basically support misreadings too. And it could basically happen with every daily product, message, or content, as the authors would describe better in depth and practically with examples.
When we watch television, we are constantly receiving, without realizing it, specific messages that in their production are emitted through codes, influencing our connotative meaning. For example, in advertisements, which are visual signs loaded with codes, such as the one about the Christmas lottery now that we are in these dates, in which that connotative meaning is appreciated since it goes beyond the denotative meaning and carries additional values, acquiring an already ideological and moral dimension. As it was said in the last lecture, visual signs at the denotative level are universally understandable and easily interpreted. Holding the text describes three types of connotative readings: the dominant code, the professional code, and the negotiated code. And focusing on the professional code, we, journalism students, I think we are such a great example. Broadcasting professionals can spin the dominant code if they wish and not read it as presented, giving a personal and different touch, but always maintaining the main idea of the new.
Television communication can lead to misunderstandings when the audience interprets messages differently. These misunderstandings can arise from a variety of reasons, such as differences in language or complexity of information and more. Viewers have selective perception, and they decode messages based on personal criteria or values. Some follow the message exactly as is presented, others apply their own set of criteria, some adapt the messages to their local or personal situation, and others reinterpret the message in the opposite direction to the dominant interpretation. So we associated with the last lecture with the aberrant decoding and the incomprehension of the messages. In advertisements, misunderstandings can happen. For example, ads about soft drinks, where some people see fun and happiness, and others are critical from the health concerns that can cause.
One of the things the reading talks about is messages and codes, and how the messages and codes can be perceived differently based on who is the recipient, which is very similar to what we talked about in class, the decoding and encoding of messages and the communication structure. A great example of this, as we mentioned in class last week, is memes, because they are perceived differently based on who is viewing them. If it's someone from our generation who has the prior knowledge to decode what the meme is actually saying, we would think it's funny, whereas if someone who's an older generation who doesn't have the prior knowledge to understand what that meme means may not find it as funny as we do.
So Hall Stewart's model of encoding and decoding is a model that advocates the active participation of the receiver in the communicative process. So this can be seen with the three types of decoding: dominant, negotiating, and oppositional. And by this, this model clarifies that the meaning is not imposed by the producers or by the media, because it is the meaning is constructed by a public which is active. The audience is not passive at all. So This is a counter theory to some of the theories that we have seen in class, especially to the hypodermic needle theory, which sees this process as an inoculation of messages, ideas, and orientations into a helpless public, into a totally passive public, and also is a counter theory to the Laswell's model, which sees the sender and receiver isolated, and it sees their roles independent of social relations, cultural, and communicative situations.